When we were kids, Yin made me promise to be his sidekick for life. After we grew up, he found his dream girl and gave me a warning. Lin Xiao, could you stop clinging to me for the rest of your life? Stay away from me. I can't stand the sight of you. Fearing Yin's wrath, my father hastily sent me abroad. Much later, he suddenly inquired about me. My father vowed, don't worry, young master I've promised her to another, she won't trouble your sight again. The ever-composed heir of the He family lost his composure in public. 1. Yin is the crown prince of the He family. The Lin family is just one of the many minor families that survive by clinging to the He family's coattails. The only reason I got to interact with Yin was thanks to the good karma accumulated by my ancestors. My great-grandfather and Yin's great-grandfather were sworn brothers who shared a life-and-death bond. They found an auspicious plot of land and built their houses side by side. That prime piece of land has now been developed into a villa district, with the original houses transformed by later generations into modern luxury villas. I was born as Yin's neighbor. As the saying goes, the early bird catches the worm. While other families were scrambling to get close to Yin, I had long since become his loyal sidekick. I enjoy being his sidekick since staying on Yin's good side means the He family will keep supporting the Lin family's business. My father always tells me to stick close to Yin, be obedient in everything, read his moods, and never upset him. That way the He family will continue to patronize our family's business. I have plenty of rivals, the Shias, the Jews, the Gus. Every family wants to send their daughter to Yin's side. Yin never turns anyone away, but my position is secure. Whenever those girls bully me, Yin always drives them away. The most recent one to be driven out was Xia Lan, Maldives vacation. Xia Lan lounged lazily in her bikini, soaking up the sun on a beach chair. Lin Xiao, we're out of juice. I immediately caught on and said with a knowing smile, got it, juice coming right up. I immediately ran to get the juice, and when I came back, I overheard her complaining to Yin, why do you always bring Lin Xiao along every time we go out? Yin shrugged it off, saying, she wanted to come, so I brought her along. Yin always takes me with him wherever he goes, ever since we were kids. Happily, I held up 2 glasses of juice and placed them on the small table between the two of them. Juice, please enjoy. Xia Lan shot me a sharp glare. I just love that look of hers. She can't stand me but can't do a thing about it. Xia Lan and I were classmates, so I knew exactly what kind of person she was. So when she ditched me during the sightseeing bus tour, I wasn't the least bit surprised. But being in an unfamiliar place, not speaking the language, and without my phone, I wandered for ages without finding my way back to the hotel. In the end, I could only crouch by the roadside and cry, my eyes brimming with tears until my vision blurred. Through the haze, a lollipop appeared in my line of sight. My tear-filled eyes instantly sparkled with joy. Brother Yin. The sight of lollipops always gives him away. When I was little, my parents were often away, and I'd cry so loudly it would disturb the He family next door. Yin would always calm me down with lollipops. Back at the hotel, unsurprisingly, Xia Lan left. From then on, Xia Lan was blacklisted by Yin. The Xia family's business was pretty much finished. Women come and go, but Lin Xiao remains constant. I was smug, thinking I could follow Yin for the rest of my life. As it turned out, I was far too naive, too. After starting university, Yin has set his sights on Sun Chu, the Hong Kong socialite heiress. The Sun family's status rivals that of the He family. Sun Chu is exceptional in every way, her personality, education, family background, figure, appearance. She's absolutely top tier. She's a true goddess. Unlike other women, Sun Chu showed no particular interest in Yin. When Yin extended an olive branch to Sun Chu, she wasn't as easily won over as others had been. Her rejection piqued his interest and fueled his desire to conquer her. He launched an ardent pursuit of Sun Chu. He showered her with luxury watches, designer bags, and sports cars. Yet Sun Chu remained completely unmoved. Then he switched to a softer approach, personally buying his goddess breakfast before dawn, sharing lunches with her, and meticulously arranging every detail of her day. He waited on her hand and foot with utter devotion, just like how I treat him. I'm practically joined at the hip with Yin on a daily basis. Sun Chu also had a companion tagging along, her cousin, Sun Yu, and I stood outside the upscale French restaurant, staring at each other in bewilderment. Finally, the attractive couple emerged after their dinner date. Sun Chu parted her thin lips slightly to thank He Yin. "Thanks for dinner, I see your sincerity, but it's not enough for me." Sun Yu flipped me off with a disgusted look, then trotted after Sun Chu like an eager puppy. He Yin frowned, but since Sun Yu was Sun Chu's cousin, he held his tongue. Sun Chu is truly heaven's favored daughter. Her perfection is so captivating it could charm you down to the last strand of her hair. I tore my gaze away from Sun Chu's graceful silhouette and turned to He Yin. His eyes remained locked on that elegant figure in the distance, gleaming with a dark intensity that spoke of absolute determination. Over the weekend, He Yin organized a boat trip and invited Sun Chu. Sun Chu showed up with a man by her side. He Yin forced a tight-lipped smile and pointed at the man, asking, "Who is he?" Sun Chu's smile was like a gentle spring breeze warming the heart. "Even I, a woman, was drooling over him," she replied gently. "He's my childhood friend Qin Mo. We often hang out together." Throughout the entire outing, He Yin wore a sour expression and kept making snide remarks. As I was leaving, I heard Sun Chu speaking in a very gentle tone from a distance. "He Yin, do not impose on others what you yourself do not desire. If you can have female childhood friends, why can't I have male childhood friends? That's a bit of a double standard, don't you think?" He Yang froze for a moment upon hearing this. He glanced in my direction, lost in thought. After Sun Chu left, He Yang strode purposefully toward the parking lot. He Yang, wait for me," I kept calling after him. But He Yin completely ignored me. I ran to catch up and barely touched his sleeve when he harshly shook me off. "Do you have to follow me everywhere?" Staggering from the force, I stood frozen in disbelief. His eyes were filled with resentment, impatience, and disgust when he looked at me. But I couldn't bring myself to question him. I never had the right to stand as He Yin's equal in the first place. He granted me the privilege to stand by his side, and he could just as easily take it away. I stood frozen, watching his retreating figure disappear into the distance. It felt like a piece of my heart was missing. 3. The next day, He Yin didn't wait for me to go to school together. I ran into Sun Yu at the teaching building. She had a smug look of schadenfreude on her face. "Lin Xiao, your days of living the high life are numbered." The hurt from being abandoned by He Yin last night still lingered in my heart. And I really didn't want to deal with Sun Yu, but Sun Yu wouldn't let me off. She grabbed my clothes and shoved me to the ground. Frowning, I looked at her and demanded angrily, "What are you doing?" She crouched down, looking down at me condescendingly as she patted my cheek. "Let me warn you, stay away from He Yin. He's the ideal son-in-law our Sun family has chosen." I looked directly at Sun Yu with full seriousness. Could the Sun family share some business with the Lins? Sun Yu was taken aback. "What do you mean, literally?" She rolled her eyes. "In your dreams." Hearing that, I stood up and slapped her across the face without a second thought. "Damn it, did you think everyone was like He Yin, that anyone could just walk all over me and throw their weight around? You can't even secure business for my Lin family, and you have the nerve to tell me how to do my job. You're not much to look at, but you've got some nerve dreaming so big." Sun Yu was absolutely furious, covering her face with a vicious glare. She lunged at me in a rage. I didn't hold back either, sidestepping, lifting my leg, and delivering a kick in one fluid motion. Thud, she fell flat on her face. All that commotion actually cleared away last night's gloom. I let out a deep sigh and headed straight to class. After class, I was just about to look for He Yin, but unexpectedly he came to find me first. Seeing He Yin at the door, I was both surprised and overjoyed. I quickly gathered my books and rushed toward him with light, buoyant steps. "He Yin," I called his name, but he didn't respond or pat my head as he usually did. I thought to myself, he looks a bit off. Is he still upset about last night? But I didn't do anything wrong last night. He glanced at me and tossed out a remark, "Follow me." I followed closely behind him. It was the path leading to the art department. Just as expected, I arrived at the art department where Sun Chu was. Before even reaching the dance studio, I could hear the sound of someone sobbing. A sense of foreboding instantly washed over me. Sun Chu was comforting Sun Yu, who was crying her eyes out. He Yin led me forward and tersely tossed 2 words at me. "Apologize." My eyes widened in displeasure. How could He Yin defend someone without even hearing my side? I retorted, "She started it." He Yang ignored my explanations and remained unyielding. "Lin Xiao, apologize." No way, for the first time ever. I stood up to He Yang, apparently taken aback by my defiance. He Yang's face flushed with anger. If you don't apologize, don't ever show your face to me again. I stared at him in disbelief. He always had my back whenever someone bullied me before, but now he's become my biggest bully. I turned my head and shot Sun Chu and Sun Yu an angry glare. Sun Chu looked at He Yin with a hint of guilt in her eyes. He Yin, there's no need to be so stern about a little scuffle between girls, just, next time. Could you avoid hitting the face? We girls care about our appearance. Though she seemed to be pleading on my behalf, she was actually blaming me for hurting Sun Yu's face. Sure enough, the furrow between He Yin's brows deepened, and his gaze held no hint of compromise as he looked at me. It finally dawned on me he needed to give Sun Chu an explanation, otherwise, it would hinder his progress in pursuing Sun Chu. My eyes welled up with tears, my face a picture of utter grievance. After a few minutes of standoff, I gave a reluctant apology. I'm sorry. The moment Sun Yu heard my apology, she stopped crying and lifted her head. You've ruined me like this, and you think a simple apology is enough? Only then did I notice Sun Yu's face was bruised and swollen, looking completely battered. I was stunned. Did I really hit her that hard? Your face, smack. Just as I was about to voice my question, Sun Yu slapped me across the face, the sting burning sharply, instantly. My blood boiled. I raised my hand to strike back, but He Yin caught my wrist. I struggled in vain, my eyes blazing with fury as I hurled my accusation. Hareen, she hit me. Perfect. Now we're even. I stared blankly at Hareen, the boy I'd grown up with who had always been so protective of me. Everything feels so alien right now. He Yin furrowed his brow, his gaze filled with disapproval. Finally, I wrenched my hand from his grasp and ran off in bitter disappointment. 4. He Yin and I fell into a cold war. When heading to school, he stopped waiting for me. By the time I stepped out, all I could see was the exhaust fumes from his car. At school, He Yin deliberately avoided me too, afraid I might cling to him, so I decided to just enjoy some peace and quiet by myself. Dad noticed I'd been staying home on weekends these past few weeks. A heavy heart weighed on me. Finally, he could no longer hold back. Xiao Xiao, are you having issues with young Master He? I remained sullen and silent. Father spoke with grave concern. For the past month, the Lin family's business has faced repeated setbacks. Clients have been inexplicably backing out of agreed-upon deals. If this continues, the Lin family might not even be able to maintain appearances. Why don't you go sound out young Master He? Seeing my father's graying hair and worry-etched face made my heart ache. When father took over, the Lin family was a complete mess, but for the family's honor, he had to tough it out no matter what. All these years, the reason I've been willing to play the lackey to He Yin is because it pains me to see my father bowing and scraping, fawning over those in power. If currying favor with He Yin could buy my family some peace and allow my father to stand tall, then what's a little humiliation on my part? If I don't reach out to He Yin first, he won't bother contacting me. It's always me who has to swallow my pride. When has he ever reached out to me on his own? The one time he did, it was to blame me for someone else. Monday, I returned to school, pacing back and forth outside He Yin's office. These past few weeks, He Yin and Sun Chu have been dating frequently, and it's been all over the news. I don't know in what capacity I should go see him. Well, if it isn't Miss Lin, that sarcastic tone, it could only be Xiaolan. She's been thriving lately. The He family has been showering the Xias with favors, boosting their business to new heights and elevating the entire Xia family's status. In the past, anyone who bullied me would end up on He Yin's blacklist. He's really changed now. Oh, looking for young Master He, are you? TSK. Some people really don't know their place. A little tag-along nanny dreaming of becoming a phoenix. How delusional. Too bad princes are meant for princesses after all. Her noisy little mouth just keeps yapping away. I stared at her coldly. And what about you? Are you a pheasant or a crow? If I can't be a phoenix, does she really think she can? If I'm not good enough for the prince, how could she possibly be? Who do you think you're disgusting? You. My retort instantly sent Xiaolan into a furious rage, but then, her expression shifted and she broke into a smile. Still, I can be friends with the crown princess. Some people are just destined to be cannon fodder. Just you wait, you'll be driven out of the capital. With that, she turned and sauntered away, arms crossed. Driven out of the capital, me. Is Xiaolan friends with the crown princess? Suddenly, Sun Yu's words came to mind. It must have been something Xia Lan said to Sun Chu. I never got to see He Yin in the end. He went to Hong Kong with Sun Chu. No worries, he's bound to be here for his 50th birthday celebration. 5. Weekend. Dignitaries and prominent figures from political and business circles all came to attend his 50th birthday celebration. I scanned the room but didn't spot He Yin or Sun Chu. After Mr. and Mrs. He delivered their welcoming speech, the opening dance commenced. The bright lights went out. Colorful lights in a dazzling array of hues illuminated the venue. A stunning couple suddenly appeared in the center of the dance floor. The music started, and the dance began, a perfect match of talent and beauty. Their dance was utterly captivating. The moment their dance ended, thunderous applause erupted. After the couple bowed and took their leave, the audience was left in a state of pleasant contentment. I followed behind them, hoping to find an opportunity to ask He Yin if he had any business dealings targeting the Lin family. As I climbed up to the attic, the first thing that met my eyes was He Yin and Sun Chu locked in an impassioned kiss. My eyes widened, and I froze on the spot. Coming to my senses, I immediately ducked behind the nearby wooden door. The sound of their lips and tongues entwining was clearly audible. After what felt like an eternity, they finally came to a stop. He Yin brought over a glass of red wine and handed it to Sun Chu. The two of them stood in the cool breeze, enveloped in a tender atmosphere. When is that childhood male friend of yours going to give you some space? Sun Chu leaned against the railing, swirling her wine glass. You're so mean, you get to keep your childhood female friend by your side, so why should my childhood male friend stay away? He Yin kissed her earlobe and whispered something I couldn't quite catch. Then I heard Sun Chu say, well, that depends on how you perform. They lingered in each other's embrace for a long while before finally leaving the attic. I stepped out from behind the door, my blood running cold. A sinking feeling told me I might not be able to stay by He Yin's side any longer. What about the Lin family's business? After going downstairs, I felt completely devastated. Sun Yu, Xia Lan, and Qin Mo raised their glasses at me provocatively. All I wanted to do at that moment was run away. I hurried into the restroom and gasped for breath in front of the mirror. Do you know why the Lin family became a thorn in the Sun family's side? I turned to see Xiaolan leaning against the doorframe, her lips curved in a faint smile as she watched me. She continued speaking. All I did was let the Sun family know about the arranged marriage between the He and Lin families. The He family is the Sun's stepping stone to expanding their social circle in the capital. He Yin, the Suns are determined to have you. If you know what's good for you, you'll leave now. The Suns have connections in both the underworld and legitimate circles. They're not to be trifled with. An arranged childhood marriage. When did the He and Lin families arrange a marriage for their children? Could it be between me and He Yin? I wanted to get to the bottom of it, but when I looked up, Xia Lan had already left. I returned to the banquet hall. I saw He Yin talking with someone, but Sun Chu was nowhere in sight. I hurried over to seize this chance and clear things up with him. I honestly never gave any thought to that arranged marriage. All I want is peace for the Lin family. 6. Unexpectedly, Sun Yu blocked my path. Hey, little follower, where are you off to? None of your business. Get out of my way. How dare you raise your voice at me? Do you want a repeat of last time when I made you regret ever crossing me? You set me up on purpose. Sun Yu wore an expression that just begged for a punch. Yeah, I did it on purpose. What are you going to do about it? You're just a foil to my sister. With her around, He Yin will always take my side. I sneered, as if you were He Yin's beloved, just a cousin, and you dare throw your weight around. A flash of anger crossed Sun Yu's eyes. She glanced behind me and stepped forward, closing in on me. My patience was wearing thin. Move aside. A flash of ferocity crossed her eyes. In just a second, our positions were reversed. She toppled toward the champagne tower, and as I tried but failed to grab her, it looked for all the world like I was the one who pushed her. The shattering glasses clattered loudly, drawing the attention of everyone in the banquet hall. Wara, Lin Xiao, why must you always make things so difficult for me? What did I ever do to you? Sun Yu accused me, and I had no way to defend myself. It wasn't me. He Yin stepped forward, frowning at me. I quickly went up and grabbed He Yin's sleeve. He Yin, she fell on her own. I had nothing to do with it. Sun Chu helped Sun Yu up as the He family's private physician came forward to examine her wound. Sun Chu gazed at He Yin with knitted brows, her words caught in her throat, but I already understood. The next instant, He Yin brushed my hand away. Lin Xiao, could you please keep your distance? Stop causing trouble all the time and making me clean up your mess. I rushed to explain. No, I didn't. They ganged up on me. They said the He and Lin families had an arranged marriage since childhood. So the Sun family has been targeting me. He Yin looked at me with disappointment. I never believed them when they said your intentions toward me weren't pure, but hearing it from your own mouth just proves them right. My eyes snapped to Xiaolan, where undisguised schadenfreude glittered in her gaze. Turning to Sun Chu and Sun Yu, I found them equally amused by my humiliation. I've been tricked, Mrs. He stepped in with a warm smile to smooth things over. Xiao Xiao, dear. I've always thought of you as my own daughter. You and He Yin are even closer than real siblings. My parents bowed in apology to Mr. and Mrs. He. Xiao Xiao was out of line. We'll make sure to discipline her properly when we get home. We apologize for the trouble we've caused. I didn't care what they thought, I only wanted to know He Yin's stance. Yet He Yin quickened his pace to pursue Sun Chu. I clutched desperately at the hem of his robe. He Yin turned back, his gaze icy as it fixed on me. Lin Xiao, could you please stop bothering me for the rest of your life? Stay away from me. I can't stand the sight of you. The murderous coldness in his eyes made me instantly release my grip on his clothes. I stared at him in stunned silence. Tears welled up in my eyes. He shot me an icy glare before rushing off after Sun Chu. The crowd around us buzzed with lively chatter. I alone stood frozen, as if trapped in an ice cellar. 7. Ever since He Yin openly expressed his disdain for me at the banquet, the Lin family's business had been facing mounting difficulties. Dad is overwhelmed, and Mom is deeply worried. I still want to try to win He Yin over and get him to help the Lin family, but right now, I can't even get close to him. I've tried waiting outside his department, staking out his home, and making appointments at the He Corporation, all to no avail. I couldn't even catch a glimpse of He Yin. Once again, I returned empty-handed and disappointed. Sun Yu, Xia Lan, and a bunch of nameless lackeys blocked my path. I had no desire to confront them. I tried to go around, but was stopped. I looked at Sun Yu coldly, without a hint of warmth. Move aside. Sun Yu stood with arms crossed, smirking at me with clear provocation. I refuse. What are you going to do about it? She shot a glance at her lackey, and someone immediately started getting handsy with me. I roared in fury, get lost, but they completely ignored my rage and escalated their behavior. After being shoved and stumbling once more, I warned them with crimson eyes. I suggest you get lost right now, and don't mess with me. Sun Yu let out a snort. Oh my, I'm so scared. Go ahead and try. See what happens when you mess with Miss Lin. At Sun Yu's command, her lackeys cast aside all restraint. They yanked my hair, tore at my clothes, and shoved me around like a pinball. Furious, I twisted the groping hand on me until a sickening crack echoed. I kicked out, tripping two of them, then grabbed their faces and slapped them back and forth. After dealing with all the lackeys, I turned my attention to Sun Yu and Xia Lan. How could these two arrogant heiresses ever hope to match someone like me, trained in martial arts since childhood, when I was young? Some foolish kidnappers abducted me to threaten the He family, since I was close with He Yin. From then on, He Yin and I began regular martial arts training. Last time, it wasn't me who beat Sun Yu black and blue, but He Yin knew I had the capability to do it. That's why he so readily believed I was the one who hurt Sun Yu. Wrong. Since Sun Yu knew to use a self-inflicted injury scheme against me, she must have done her homework on my fighting skills. Why are you provoking me now of all times? A sudden chill ran down my spine, and a sense of foreboding washed over me. Sun Yu fell to the ground in a disheveled heap, her face pale as she clutched her stomach and moaned, "Brother-in-law, save me." Following her line of sight, I turned my head. I met a pair of deep, chilling eyes. I stood frozen in place. With both witnesses and material evidence present, there was no room for denial. Sun Chu ordered someone to take Xia Lan and Sun Yu away. He Yin was the last to leave, after taking a few steps. He paused and turned back. I could barely make out his profile. He said, "Lin Xiao, I feel like I've never truly known you." Suddenly, my throat felt choked up, choking back sobs, throat aching, wanting to speak. My lips parted, but no words came out. A sour bitterness welled up in my nose. A persistent mist clouded my vision. I stumbled home on unsteady feet, like a lost soul drifting through the night. In the dim room, I felt completely drained, as if all my energy had been sapped. And I slept for a full day and night. 8. Early the next morning, I drifted downstairs like a ghost. The entire villa was shrouded in darkness, not a soul in sight. I wanted a drink of water, but the dispenser was bone dry. I had no idea where Mom and Dad had gone. Sitting on the sofa, I felt so wronged I was on the verge of tears. A noise came from the nanny's room, and I glanced over. Nanny Wu carried her suitcase, looking back every few steps, turning and seeing me. It was as if they had spotted a lifeline. "Miss, could you please speak to the master and ask him not to dismiss us? We wouldn't mind lower wages, or even working without pay. After all these years working for the Lin family, I just can't bear to leave this place. I'm sure the Lin family will pull through this difficult time." My head was spinning. Nanny Wu kept chattering away. After a long silence, I spoke in a hoarse voice. "Fired. Crisis." Nanny Wu wiped her tears. "The master and mistress haven't slept for days while securing investments. Several products have developed issues, and we're facing substantial compensation claims." Only then did I realize how completely the Lin family had fallen apart. I took Mother Wu's hand in mine. "Please wait here for me." My voice caught in my throat. "Let me think of something." In the end, Mother Wu didn't leave, but we were running out of food at home. I reluctantly gave Mother Wu all the money I had and asked her to manage the household. Then I found Mom and Dad. They were standing at the entrance of the dilapidated Lin residence, surrounded by a group of menacing thugs. The mob was shouting threats. "You need to give us an explanation. My daughter died from poisoning after eating your spicy sticks." "That's right. Your spicy sticks are the problem. My son is still in the ICU." The parents led the way. Followed by the company's responsible personnel, the troublemakers brought in journalists to sensationalize the incident. I saw one of the radicals holding a knife. A sense of dread washed over me. "Watch out, Dad." I rushed forward and kicked the knife away in one swift motion. The crowd immediately erupted in fury. It took everything I had to subdue them. No sooner had I turned around than I encountered workers demanding their unpaid wages. The Lin family business hasn't paid wages in 2 months. It took tremendous effort to calm the workers down. In the lifeless office, Father looked utterly haggard. Mother wept softly. Father kept slapping himself in frustration. "It's all my fault. I'm completely useless. The Lin family legacy will be destroyed by my hands." I quickly intervened. "Dad, it wasn't your fault." Tears streamed down his weathered face. He wiped his face and forced out the words with difficulty. "The Lin Corporation may have to file for bankruptcy." Bankrupt? My heart clenched. But deep down, I can't really blame the Lin family for going bankrupt. It's time to lay down this burden. This unworthy descendant will have to personally descend and beg forgiveness from our ancestors. Upon hearing this, my mind snapped to attention. A flicker of panic stirred within me. Father valued the Lin family legacy more than his own life. If the Lin legacy were gone, he would truly take his own life. "Dad, please don't do this. Just wait. I'll go beg He Yin for help. Please don't do anything reckless." Lost in his grief, he couldn't hear a word I said. It seems he's already contemplating how to meet his ancestors. My mind was restless with anxiety. Without caring about appearances, I immediately hailed a cab to the He Corporation. 9. "I need to see your vice president He." The receptionist politely replied, "I'm sorry. But you'll need an appointment to see President He." That's just how harsh reality can be. Back when He Yin and I were on good terms. Now, the same people who used to mock me are eagerly escorting me to the CEO's office. But now, I don't even have the right to set foot inside. Fawning over the powerful and trampling on the weak, such sycophantic behavior. Just the way of the world, I suppose. I tried to force my way in, but security dragged me out. "I demand to see He Yin. Tell him to come out and face me." They were being sarcastic and cryptic. "Our president, he doesn't just meet with anyone." Worried sick about my father, I collapsed weakly to the ground in a pitiful state. Finally, He Yin's assistant Jiao Sheng spotted me and informed me that He Yin wasn't at the office. He might be at home, so I rushed to the He residence. The He family's staff weren't as warm toward me as they used to be. He informed me in a matter-of-fact tone. "The young master hasn't been back here lately. He Yang has more than one residence. Ever since he got involved with Sun Chu, I've hardly seen him around here. On my way out, I noticed an invitation for a new product launch on the coffee table. I made a note of it. The next day, I found the location of the He Corporation's new product launch. I disguised myself beforehand and slipped inside. After the product launch concluded, I positioned myself at the intersection He Yin would have to pass through. Our eyes met, but he didn't seem to want to talk to me. He turned to leave. I reached out to stop him. He Yang. He turned to me with an icy stare. What is it? I steeled myself. He Yang. Save the Lin family. If He Yin steps in, all of Lin Corporation's crises can be resolved. Reason. This was the first time he had ever asked me for a reason. Since childhood, the Lin family had grown accustomed to being under the He family's protection. I never once questioned why. My confidence wavered. For the sake of our childhood bond, would that count for anything? He Yang let out a scornful laugh. Sentimental bonds. It's more accurate to say it was a service I paid for, a paid service, all these years. Is that really how he's seen me? My heart trembled as my fingers slowly curled back almost imperceptibly. I wanted to give up, but the pale faces of my parents lingered in my mind, and so, I looked pleadingly at He Yin, my voice trembling with tears. Please, save the Lin family. I'm afraid my father, he might do something desperate. He Yang looked at me with a sneer, his words dripping with icy detachment. What does his despair have to do with me? I'm done being your financial crutch. Don't come looking for me again. I grabbed his sleeve. He shot me a disgusted look. He pried my hand off. My hand was rubbed raw from him roughly yanking at my sleeve. I've got urgent business right now, and I'd advise you not to test my patience. With that, Jiao Sheng blocked my path. He Yin shoved his hands in his pockets and walked off without a second glance, watching his receding figure fade into the distance. My heart sank deeper with every passing moment. I don't know how I managed to walk out of that building. All I know is, I was just stepping out when someone dragged me into a van. Half an hour later, the blindfold was ripped from my eyes. My blurred vision gradually came into focus. I frowned as I recognized the person standing before me, Sun Yu. Sun Yu stared at me with an icy glare. Lin Xiao, oh Lin Xiao, your guardian angel's gone now. Let's see how you dare to cross me this time. A sharp slap landed on my face, and blood immediately trickled from the corner of my mouth. I wanted to fight back, only to realize with a sinking feeling that my hands and feet were tightly bound, leaving me completely immobilized. I glared furiously at Sun Yu. What do you want? Sun Yu burst into raucous laughter. Revenge, of course. You've laid hands on me more than once before. I may not have many virtues, but holding grudges is one thing I excel at. I closed my eyes briefly. Now that I'm at her mercy, there's no escaping this ordeal. Sun Yu rained down punches and kicks on me, each blow striking a vital spot. Before long, I was drenched in cold sweat, gasping for air with shallow, labored breaths. Seeing me take the beating without any reaction, Sun Yu soon lost interest. Sigh. Bullying someone isn't even fun. How about we spice things up a bit? Call He Yin. If he comes to rescue you, I'll let you go. If he doesn't show up, well, don't blame me for what happens next. Should I call He Yin? He Yin hasn't replied to my messages for ages. If I call him, will he even pick up? Sun Yu signaled her subordinates to untie me. The moment the ropes came loose, I collapsed to the ground. Make the call. If He Yin takes responsibility for you, I'll let you off the hook. Deep down, I really didn't want to contact He Yin again, but memories of all those years together started playing in my mind like a film reel. I still held on to illusions and expectations about him, so, under Sun Yu's insistence and urging, I dialed He Yin's number. But whether it was phone calls, WeChat, QQ, or even Alipay, I tried every possible way to reach him. He Yin didn't respond at all. I listened to the endless beeping of the phone, feeling almost hopeless. Oh, what a memory I have. It's my sister's birthday today. He Yin must be swamped, buying birthday presents and decorating the venue. Wow, I'm jealous. So the important thing He Yin mentioned was celebrating Sun Chu's birthday. Heh. Tears streamed down my face as I let out a soft, bitter laugh. My stomach, where Sun Yu had kicked me earlier, was now seized with spasms of pain. Seeing my condition, Sun Yu decided to add fuel to the fire. Since you can't get through, let me give it a try and ask for you. Sun Yu initiated a video call to He Yin. Brother-in-law, are you busy right now? He Yin responded with a curt Lin Xiao has something to tell you. He Yin's brow furrowed at the sound of my name, but he said nothing. Destroy both the body and the spirit. He refused to take my calls, yet answered Sun Yu's. Sun Yu turned her phone toward me. I must have looked a mess, sobbing uncontrollably with a wretched expression. I whispered, He Yin, save me, Lin Xiao. What trick are you trying to pull this time? No one knows your fighting skills better than I do. Sun Yu is no match for you. Even if you have a legitimate reason, don't bother me with it. On the other end of the video call, He Yin was standing on a rooftop terrace. The venue was grand, exquisitely arranged, with Sun Chu at the center of the crowd, chatting and laughing animatedly. He hung up as soon as he finished speaking. His indifference shattered my last glimmer of hope. TSK, 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 how pathetic. I lay sprawled on the ground like a heap of worthless mud. More agonizing than the physical pain was the utter loss of hope. He Yin, he was no longer the He Yin I once knew. Seeing that I had no fighting spirit left, Sun Yu also lost interest. How boring. I'm off to my sister's birthday party. Hope you have a pleasant evening. Sun Yu left, but she left behind 5 strapping men. They approached me with lecherous grins. 3 years later, the He family. Father was invited to attend the silver anniversary celebration of Mr. and Mrs. He. He's in his element at these drinking gatherings. It's all just bowing and scraping, flattering and fawning anyway. He's used to it. He had just finished toasting a big shot when he turned and bumped into someone's back. He kept apologizing profusely. I'm so sorry, so sorry. Only when he looked up did he realize it was He Yin. He Yin remarked as if casually, Uncle Lin, oh, young master He, you're too kind. I don't deserve such courtesy. My father gave an awkward chuckle and tried to slip away quietly. At those words, He Yin's face immediately darkened. A suffocating weight lodged in his chest, leaving him breathless. He had barely turned around when He Yin's sharp rebuke stopped him in his tracks. Stop right there. He turned back, keeping a meter's distance from He Yin. What are your orders, young master He, Lin Xiao? He Yin's words were cut off by his father before he could finish. He declared earnestly, don't worry, young master He. I've promised her to someone else. She won't be a bother to you anymore. Hearing this, He Yin froze for a moment. A hollow ache bloomed in my chest. His gaze turned icy as he stared at his father. Say that again. He Yang's intimidating presence made the father wipe the cold sweat from his brow. He repeated, young master He, you have my absolute word. I've already promised her to another. She won't be a bother to you ever again. Dad repeated for the second time. He Yin's face suddenly changed. He slammed his glass to the ground, sending shards flying everywhere. Everyone around was startled, sensing trouble. Dad made a quick escape while He Yin was still fuming on the spot. The first thing he did after getting home was call me overseas. Sweetheart, I was still half asleep when I picked up the phone. It was the middle of the night here. Dad doesn't usually call at this hour. What's wrong, Dad? Sweetheart, you need to stay hidden out there. Dad told me about He Yin throwing a tantrum and smashing a wine glass. What happened? The He residence, He Yin's study. His gaze was fixed on the technicians tinkering with a cluster of instruments. The conversation between my father and me clearly reached both their ears. Can you get a lock on it? The technician furrowed his brow as he worked meticulously. After a series of beeping sounds, the technician exclaimed, it's done. I was still drowsy-eyed, but after hanging up the phone, I just couldn't fall back asleep. I got up and went to the window, even in the early hours. The streets were already bustling with traffic, and the neon lights shone brilliantly. My mind drifted back to that evening. Someone came to my rescue at the critical moment. She recorded the entire incident, and I used that video to blackmail Sun Chu. Sun Yu was just a lackey like me. The only person in the Sun family with any real influence is the patriarch's daughter, Sun Chu. I laid it out for Sun Chu. If my demands aren't met, I'll release the video exposing Sun Yu's atrocities. The court of public opinion alone will be enough to crush the Sun family. The Sun family's establishment in the capital would be jeopardized. I also warned her that the more she targeted the Lin family, the tighter I'd cling to He Yin for support. I'd publicly announce my childhood engagement to He Yin and brand her with infamy. Thus, Sun Chu conceded. She promised to help the Lin family. While I left the capital, the day I left, it poured rain in the capital, and Sun Chu, fearing that He Yin would learn of my departure, injected funds into the Lin family that very day. Both of my parents attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony, so I quietly came to the UK alone. When I left back then, my heart had already gone numb. Yin dealt me a devastating blow. That's why I left without a single shred of regret. I asked my parents to deregister my household registration and change my name, gradually putting down roots in a foreign land. Shortly after I left, Yin and Sun Chu got engaged. 12. The engagement ceremony was grand, broadcast live worldwide, and I watched it from abroad. I had just arrived in the UK. That's when I met Chu Hao. He was a cultured man from a well-off family, and he quietly provided substantial support to the Lin family. During that time, my parents, Chu Hao, and I traveled through several countries to meet up. They were very pleased with Chu Hao and asked him to take good care of me. The money Sun Chu provided before leaving temporarily saved Lin Corporation, but more funds were needed later. Chu Hao helped my father resolve this lingering concern, so the Lin family at least avoided bankruptcy. I just hope the He and Sun families will leave Lin Corporation alone. I could spend my whole life without returning to my home country, without ever showing up in front of them again. When I first arrived in the UK, I'm deeply saddened. I found myself completely alone, with no one to turn to, completely lost and confused. After being here for a while, I noticed that the British really love their tea, breakfast tea, bedtime tea, afternoon tea, farewell tea, tea breaks, and so on. I decided to open a Chinese-style tea house, focusing on premium Chinese teas and serving traditional Chinese snacks alongside them. It has gained widespread popularity. The tea house expanded from one location to 2, then 3, and has now become a chain across Europe and America. Meanwhile, to help the Lin family resolve their product sales issues, as a distributor, I established sales channels for spicy strips in European and American supermarkets, successfully addressing the Lin family's years of losses and sluggish sales. Life is quite comfortable these days. I'm sitting in the office, checking the account balance. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock at the door. Are you busy? Come in. I saw Chu Hao coming in with afternoon tea. I raised my eyes. Not at all. I got up and moved to the sofa. He took a sip of tea. He pulled out an envelope and slid it across to Chu Hao. Chu Hao looked puzzled. Chu Hao opened the envelope. An understanding dawned on him as he saw its contents. What is this? Go on, open it. He seemed a bit upset. Xiao Xiao, do we really have to keep such close accounts with each other? I replied with a smile. Even brothers keep clear financial records. Only by repaying everything I've borrowed can I speak with you as an equal. My business is thriving, and I owe it all to you. I gave his shoulder a reassuring pat. Come on, cheer up. Clearing these debts feels like a weight off my shoulders, finally free from the burden. Do you expect me to carry this psychological weight forever? A subtle shift crossed Chu Hao's handsome brow. I pressed my advantage. Finally, I feel completely unburdened. Come on, let me treat you to a meal. No matter how long I've been abroad, I still love the cuisine from back home the most. Jizue, a very famous Chinese restaurant around here, drunk with fine wine, nourished by noble virtue. The name alone reveals the owner's deep appreciation for Chinese culture. Being quite far from where we live, we never found the time to visit until now. Chu Hao and I ordered several classic dishes. Before the meal, I'll just pop to the restroom. Stepping out of the private room, excuse me. Could you tell me where the restroom is? The server gestured toward the other side. Got it, thanks. I stepped out of the restroom. Someone blocked my path. I was looking down at my phone and didn't notice the person approaching. Excuse me, could you let me through? The person stood firm, not moving an inch. I put down my phone and looked up. Time stood still. The world around us continued to shift and change. 13. In an instant. Yet we both stood frozen in place. An old scar on my heart began to ache, threatening to reopen. Memories I'd rather not confront were clawing their way to the surface. A ripple of unease disturbed the calm waters of my mind. I have no recollection of how I made it back to the private room. What's wrong? You came back from the restroom looking pale, Chu Hao asked with concern. I forced a strained smile. It's nothing. Could it be that better days are coming? Chu Hao's remark made me laugh. You're overthinking it. Just eat. I thought Yin would have left by now, since we'd been eating for so long, but to my surprise, Chu Hao got punched the moment we stepped out of the private room. Yin started throwing wild punches at Chu Hao's face like a madman. Chu Hao was caught off guard and took several hard punches. Stop it now. I desperately tried to intervene from the sidelines, but Yin acted as if he hadn't heard a thing. I had no choice but to block his punch and counter with a swift, unexpected blow. Yin finally came to a stumbling halt. But why did he have that wounded expression on his face? Since when does the aggressor get to play the victim? Ignoring him, I immediately asked Chu Hao about his wound. How are you holding up? Chu Hao's face was a gruesome sight, yet he managed a strained smile and shook his head. Come on, I'm taking you to see a doctor. I helped Chu Hao to his feet and we left. I'm fine. Before leaving, I shot a glance at Yin to make sure he wouldn't pull another surprise move. His bloodshot eyes were fixed on my face, as if he had 1,000 things to say. I didn't have time to dwell on it and hurried away with Chu Hao. I thought Yin would have left, but when I returned to my place that evening, I found him leaning against my door. I tightened my grip on the bag, hesitating for a moment. Then it dawned on me, what am I afraid of? A clear conscience sleeps through thunder. Under his watchful gaze, I calmly unlocked the door, stepped inside, and shut it behind me all in one fluid motion. Utterly exhausted, I collapsed into bed and fell asleep instantly. I opened the door, a figure slumped in from the doorway. The next day, taking a closer look, it was actually Yin. His face was deathly pale, his forehead drenched in cold sweat. Completely unconscious, I stood frozen, torn by an inner turmoil. In the end, I decided to help him, but just as my hand was about to touch him, the agony of being brutally beaten by Sun Yu all those years ago came rushing back as if it were happening all over again. The spasmodic pain made me jerk my hand back with a shudder. He didn't save me back then either, so I heartlessly kicked him out with one swift motion, slammed the door. Leave. Let him collapse at the doorstep, unconscious. I don't understand what kind of act he's putting on. Anyway, it's none of my business. I've moved on with my life now. And everything makes sense on its own terms. I'm not that person anymore who had to be Yin's lackey, constantly sucking up to him. Whether he lives or dies is no concern of mine. But ever since that day, he started haunting my every step like a ghost. When I went to dine, he'd be standing by the glass window. When I visited an art exhibition, he'd appear at every turn. When I went to work, he was standing at the company entrance. The most crucial part was this: every single night, without fail, he would be at my doorstep. Whenever Chu Hao and I appeared together, he would inevitably get beaten up. I didn't exchange a single word with Yin throughout this entire process. It was just a whim of his. Yet he's kept this up for 2 solid months now, or so I thought. Many times, his assistant Gao Sheng would watch me from a distance, looking as if he wanted to say something but always holding back. People at the office were whispering behind my back. When I got home, even my neighbors avoided me, as if I were haunted by some sinister presence. That evening, I returned home to find Yin was nowhere to be seen. 14. Yet, I couldn't shake off a faint sense of emptiness inside. I went through my usual routine, opening the door, stepping in, and closing it all in one smooth motion. I quietly let out a sigh of relief. I'm a light sleeper, half asleep. I heard the sound of the door lock. My senses snapped to attention. In the darkness, I groped my way out of bed, grabbing a club. I concealed myself behind the sofa. A towering figure was ransacking my room, searching every nook and cranny. He crept into the bedroom, grew alert upon finding the bed empty. My heart began to race. I considered paying them off to avoid trouble. It's probably not possible now, he pursued while I evaded. With my back against the wall, I launched a preemptive strike. Seizing the moment of his distraction, I struck his back hard with a club. After a startled cry, they immediately launched an attack on me. That's when I realized they had an accomplice. 2 burly men, each standing 6 feet 3 inches. Even with my martial arts training, I was struggling to hold my own. He pulled out a dagger, its blade glinting under the streetlight so brightly it made me squint. Before I knew it, I was kicked to the ground. One of them lunged at me with a knife, and I only escaped by swiftly rolling away. But being chased and cornered like this had left me completely exhausted. Then one of them pinned my hands behind my back, while the other came at me with a knife. Suddenly, the door burst open. Yin kicked the knife right out of the attacker's hand. I shut my eyes in despair. At the critical moment, seizing the chance, I broke free from my restraints. We worked together to subdue the assailant and called the police. After the police finished taking our statements and left, we both collapsed onto the couch, exhausted. I was about to break the awkward silence and express my thanks. He then tumbled off the sofa and fell unconscious. Outside the hospital room, Gao Sheng wore a pained expression. Miss Lin, young master, he hasn't been eating or sleeping properly for the past 2 months. My health has completely deteriorated. Actually, before he could finish, the doctor called for the family members. I entered the hospital room. Seeing He Yin so pale left a bitter taste in my heart. How are you holding up? He Yin gave a faint smile. It was as gentle as when we were children. No worries, let me peel an apple for you. I was just saying it casually. He used to hate apples the most. No other choice. I sat down and started peeling the apple. Alright, I froze. After we finished the fruit, the atmosphere felt a bit awkward. I wanted to leave but felt bad about it, so I kept glancing at my watch. If you have somewhere to be, feel free to head out. I felt like I'd been granted a pardon. Alright, I'll get going then. As the ward door clicked shut, I saw his downturned lips reflected in the glass. But He Yin, none of this was my doing. Everyone must face the consequences of their own actions. I thought He Yin would need to recuperate in the hospital for a few days. I never expected him to show up at my doorstep again the very next day. This time, I invited him in to sit down. Hareen, is there something you need? He'd been persistent for 2 whole months. I truly can't imagine what the He family could possibly see in me. He Yin pressed his lips together, his complexion slightly rosier though still somewhat sickly. He choked up briefly before continuing. I just missed you. I frowned, not understanding what he meant. I didn't want to guess what it meant either. Missed me? I changed the subject. You married Sun Chu, didn't you? He Yang was taken aback. But before he could respond, I continued. You probably have kids by now. He Yang looked at me and said, do you not watch the news? No, my life is good now. I've come to cherish this peaceful existence. I shook my head. I've built new social circles and found a fresh group of friends. I've cut ties with everything back home. A wry smile flickered across He Yin's lips. Is there nothing left for you in this country? I looked at He Yin and answered earnestly. He Yin walked away looking utterly devastated, just like when I left the country in desolation years ago. Yes, they are 15 that day, but no one can truly feel your pain. His silhouette looked desolate. Live in the moment. He Yin stopped haunting my life like a ghost. My life settled back into calm. Thinking of Chu Hao, feeling a bit guilty. He Yin would beat him up whenever they crossed paths, so I asked him to avoid visiting me for those 2 months. Now that He Yin's gone, I went to his place with gifts to check on him. From a distance, I saw him arguing with a woman. I stopped the car. I approached them. I frowned. I overheard them talking about deception and shamelessness. I called out, Xia Lan. After all these years, she hasn't changed a bit. Xia Lan seemed slightly surprised to see me. Lin Xiao. I glanced from Chu Hao to Xia Lan. Do you two know each other? Their silence spoke volumes, a tacit admission. What were you arguing about? Xia Lan shot a sidelong glance at Chu Hao, who immediately turned his face away. In the living room of Chu Hao's home, Lin Xiao, how have you been all these years? That's good to hear. I owe you my life for saving me back then. That's great. When Sun Yu left 5 strong men behind, her intentions were crystal clear. Right at the critical moment, Xia Lan burst in with her team and rescued me. At that time, Xia Lan was pretending to pledge allegiance to the Sun family. The house where I was held captive was actually arranged by her. She had installed surveillance cameras in advance, capturing the entire process of Sun Yu assaulting me. Later, I used that video to threaten Sun Chu. Hearing my words, Xia Lan's smile seemed forced. Actually, it was all arranged by young master He Yin. What does He Yin have to do with this? What? When I reached out to him for help, he told me not to contact him. Xia Lan told me. He Yin only pretended to form a marriage alliance with the Sun family to help me get revenge. The Sun family started out in the underworld. It was the Sun family who kidnapped me back then. After that kidnapping, I was ill for a whole year, afraid of the dark, afraid of interacting with people, afraid of any physical contact. It was He Yin who stayed by my side day and night. Tell me, don't be afraid, it's all over now. I'll make them pay for this, I promise. A lump seemed to form in my chest. Heavy and suffocating, a vow of revenge made so many years ago. Had he actually gone through with it? Xia Lan was the mole he had planted in the Sun family in advance. Even Chu Hao was arranged by He Yin. Xia Lan was seething with righteous indignation when she mentioned Chu Hao. That bastard doesn't even understand the principle of hands off a friend's partner. Young master, he only asked him to look after you. But who would have thought he'd actually set his sights on you, just like you. He changed his name, cut off all contact, and kept watch over you. This made young master he lose track of you, leaving him restless and anxious. In the past few years, I was afraid He Yin would find me. I never gave my family my phone number, we rarely contacted each other, and when we did, I would deliberately use a public phone. I looked at Chu Hao, his lips pressed tightly together. Is what Xia Lan said true? Chu Hao's face showed clear remorse. I'm sorry, but my feelings for you are real. No wonder He Yin beats up Chu Hao every time they meet. They're both scumbags. I turned to Xia Lan one last time. What's your relationship with Chu Hao? Him. He's the stepson of the mother who abandoned me. We left Chu Hao's residence. My thoughts are slightly unsettled. Foes no longer feel like foes. Benefactors no longer seem like benefactors. It feels as if something is suddenly missing within. Strolling across the square, watching scattered groups of people, it felt like stepping into another era. I couldn't contain my curiosity. I looked up news about He Yin and Sun Chu. High society marriage collapses. Sun family shocking scandal. 16. Sun family exposed for money laundering with drug cartels. Sun family exposed as patrons of northern Myanmar scam syndicates. Sun family declares bankruptcy. Key members of Sun family apprehended. All these reports surfaced approximately 2 months ago. Each one is front-page news. I still can't forgive He Yin. Why could you tell Xia Lan these things? But not me. But did it have to be done through deception and hurting me? We could have fought side by side. Yet you've cast me in this agonizing role of a passive recipient of favors. Is this what He Yin considers love? Knowing the truth hasn't really changed anything in my life. My routine remained unchanged, up at dawn, off to work, meals, home, then bed, the same monotonous cycle, day in and day out, until one day, a package arrived for me. I opened it to take a look. It was a stock transfer and property gift agreement. He Yin had transferred all his shares in the He Corporation to me and gifted me all his movable and immovable property. I was stunned. What did he mean by that? I wanted to get in touch with him, but then I realized I didn't have his contact information. I called my dad. Dad seemed to hesitate, holding back his words. Xiao, maybe, you should come back and see He Yin. I couldn't believe Dad actually asked me to visit He Yin. When I left back then, I told Dad that the reason young master he targeted the Lin family was because my presence in the country had been getting on He Yin's nerves. I was puzzled, so my father sent me away, hoping I would never return. But now, he actually wants me to go back and see He Yin. What happened to him? Father let out a sigh. So young, yet diagnosed with a terminal illness. / is given up on treatment. / After hanging up, I couldn't calm down for the longest time. The envelope in my hand felt burning hot. I had to do a lot of soul-searching before I finally convinced myself. I still need to return his things to him. After all, heading back home, I went to the He residence to find He Yin. I was told that He Yin wasn't home. Mrs. He took my hand. Xiao, he had no choice back then. The Sun family has set their sights on the He family. If the Sun family goes down fighting, the He family won't escape unscathed. The arranged marriage between you and He Yin is real. If you stay, the Sun family will never let you off the hook, and He Yin won't be able to act freely. That's why he sent you away. After you left, He Yin engaged in a battle of wits with the Sun family and narrowly emerged victorious in the end. Mrs. He explained that while the government wanted to step in and rein in the Sun family, they couldn't move against them openly in order to maintain a balance of power and keep the covert anti-China forces in check. So they turned to He Yin. He Yin had no intention of letting the Sun family off the hook anyway, so we hit it off right away. During this time, I was the only uncertainty. Once I was sent away, he would have no more worries. I returned the shares and assets that He Yin had given me to Mrs. Yet she insisted these were He Yin's belongings. She had no right to interfere with his decisions, nor could she retract them on his behalf. Mrs. He led me to He Yin's study, packed to the brim, a dazzling array, all of my photos. 17. No one would believe he doesn't like me. He's sick now, sneakily hidden away. We can't find him anywhere. Mrs. He began to sob quietly. Have you searched everywhere? Mrs. He choked back a sob. We've searched everywhere, but there's no trace of him. I wonder where he could have gone. Perhaps knowing his time was short, he found a place to hide and prepared to slip away quietly. Hearing this, my nose tingled with emotion. Right now, I have no other thoughts except to find him quickly and return his belongings. I can't bear the weight of what is given me. I paced back and forth. Where would He Yin choose to spend his final moments? My eyes swept around He Yin's study, but there wasn't a single clue to be found. The walls were covered with my photos, yet among them, a pyramid pattern stood out abruptly. Suddenly, it hit me. I remember after I was kidnapped as a child, I feel like I'm dying. I said, Haeong, if I die, I want you to have me mummified, so when you miss me, you can come visit. Haeong told me to stop talking nonsense. You're not going to die. If we die together, mummified and placed side by side for all eternity, since he holds such profound feelings for me. He would never want me to receive news of his passing without any solace to hold on to. Would he ever consider having himself mummified? I journeyed to the enigmatic land of Egypt. Modern Egyptians no longer practice mummification. Only a handful of workshops still preserve the ancient techniques of mummification. I traveled far and wide in search of workshops that still preserved the art of mummification. In the end, I actually found He Yin at one such workshop. This workshop's ancestors specialized in creating mummies for the royal family. Although modern society no longer permits it, some nobles and aristocrats still choose to be laid to rest this way. I pushed the door open. In the secluded courtyard, a lounge chair creaked as it rocked back and forth. I moved closer. I saw He Yin lying there with his eyes closed, resting. Tears instantly welled up in my eyes. I stormed over and yelled, He Yin, you coward. Hiding away just because you're sick, is that how a real man acts? Why are you handing over your own He corporation to me? You've shattered my peaceful life, and now you're going to walk away without taking responsibility. He Yin opened his eyes, utterly astonished to see me appear out of nowhere. He lay there dumbfounded on the lounge chair, listening to me yell. You know what? People turned into mummies look absolutely hideous. I like young, handsome hunks, drop dead. And do it somewhere far away from me. I can't stand ugly things. He Yin's lips parted. He finally managed to utter a single sentence, watching my reaction warily. Should I go freeze myself on Mount Everest? I don't like dead people. I like them alive. I was so furious I could only laugh bitterly. Alive. Full of life and energy. In the end, I still brought He Yin back to the capital, on the airplane. Did you come just because I said as a kid that I wanted to be made into a mummy after I die? 18. He Yin nodded. Bro, I was just a kid back then. I didn't know mummies looked so creepy when I was little. I'm not exactly fond of mummies these days. I'm speechless. He Yang stared intently into my eyes. If the body is preserved properly, the soul will return. His words left me speechless, cutting off my protest. So he wants to preserve the body, and then his soul will come back to find me. It sounds a bit creepy, but the sentiment is touching. Can't we just wish each other well? You're a grown adult. Must you make people worry like this? I looked at him with a mix of frustration and disappointment. He blinked at me with wounded eyes, looking as pitiful as a timid young bride. My heart softened a little. After all, he's a patient now, though I still have no idea what's actually wrong with him. What illness are you actually suffering from? Is it really a terminal disease? Is death inevitable? He stammered evasively. I'm furious. Damn it. Are you even a man? You can't even describe your own illness properly. Stop whining. You're being ridiculous. Breast cancer. His words cut through my lecture, and I turned to him in surprise. I didn't quite catch that. Did I hear that right? He spoke very clearly this time. Breast cancer. What is it? I was speechless. I averted my gaze, feeling somewhat awkward. I secretly looked it up on my phone. Can men really get breast cancer? While there are many factors that can trigger breast cancer, prolonged periods of high stress and negative emotions do increase the likelihood of developing breast-related issues. Is that how he got it? That's why it's so important to stay positive and keep a good mindset. Nothing in life is a big deal except life and death itself. Back in the country, we went to the best hospital and consulted the top specialists. Right before he went into the operating room, he held my hand tightly. Xiao Xiao, wait for me to come out. I threatened him. You have to make it out alive. If you die, I'll take your money and find myself some young studs. He Yin entered the operating room with a pitiful look on his face. I won't give you the chance. As the operating room door closed, It separated He Yin and me into two different worlds. I still haven't completely forgiven He Yin in my heart, but whether you choose to forgive or not in the future, they'll still be there. Death clears all debts. He's the one who abused me. Stay alive to reclaim what's yours. In the waiting hours, I dozed off for a bit, went back to my childhood days. Xiao Xiao, you're going to be my little sidekick forever. Stay with me for life. I gave a soft, gentle laugh and asked, you're with me for life. I'll be with you for life. What's the difference? He Yin scratched his head. Seems no different to me. It's a lifetime commitment. Exactly. So you'll be my sidekick for life. I nodded. He Yin pondered for a moment, then nodded. Yes, forever. The end. Story 2. Shen Zhijing came to pick me up in his car, the man who always maintained an icy, ascetic demeanor, yet he let his new secretary ride shotgun. I knew then, this marriage was doomed. 1. That day, Shen Zhijing came to pick me up in his car. When I opened the passenger door, I froze for a moment. A young, beautiful girl was sitting in the passenger seat, giving me a sweet smile. Hi, sis-in-law. The girl greeted me politely, yet showed no intention of giving up her seat. I narrowed my eyes slightly, shifting my gaze to Shen Zhijing. Shen Zhijing lowered his eyes to answer the call, oblivious to the tension brewing here. We were supposed to go to the auction together today. I'd been looking forward to this date with him and dressed up carefully, only to find someone else sitting in the passenger seat. Hello sis, I'm Bai Luo, Mr. Shen's new assistant. The girl flashed a warm smile. Her faint dimples appeared especially sweet when she smiled. I heard you're attending a private auction tonight, so I begged Mr. Shen to take me along for the experience. Don't worry, I won't disturb you. My heart instantly sank like a stone. I knew this aloof, flawless man standing before me all too well. He's always kept people at arm's length, never one to let others into his inner circle. Our union was arranged through marriage. After careful deliberation, we chose each other. People joked that I'd be left a grass widow, but after we made it official, Shen Zhijing would hold me with tender warmth in his eyes. In moments of passion, the corners of his eyes would flush pink. He said, you're my wife, we're one flesh. Of course you're different from others. Something feels different today, too, but I'm no meek little dodder vine. I'm Xia Qing. When I'm angry, I don't give a damn about anyone's opinion. Get down. I dismissed them coldly without mercy. The girl stood frozen in shock. She never expected me to humiliate her at our first meeting. Perhaps my tone was too harsh. Bai Luo froze in momentary confusion. Sorry. Sis-in-law. The girl's voice quivered with tears as she slumped into the back seat, disheveled. Shen Zhijing had just ended his call when his gaze shifted toward us. He realized I was upset. A look of resigned indulgence spread across his face. The man leaned over to fasten my seatbelt. Noticing someone had messed with the seat position, I readjusted it with visible irritation. After all that hassle, I was absolutely fuming. Damn it, who dares adjust my passenger seat? The atmosphere in the car turned icy, leaving the girl too terrified to speak. Shen Zhijing's brows furrowed slightly as he calmly suggested to me, if you're feeling down today, let's just go home. The woman in the rearview mirror was silently weeping. I was utterly miserable. Bai Luo. Right, I'm not in the mood anymore. Get yourself a cab, Mr. Shen and I are heading home. The girl turned pale, casting a feeble glance at Shen Zhijing. The man showed no intention of coming to her rescue. The girl stepped out of the car, utterly dejected. 3. Shen Zhijing would never embarrass me in front of others. He's always known how to keep his emotions in check, so his suggestion was simple, let's go home. Whatever it is, we'll settle it at home. That's the unspoken understanding we've built over the years. She's just a fresh graduate entering society, why bother holding it against her? Shen Zhijing pulled me into an embrace. The first time, Shen Zhijing looked puzzled. What, after all these years? This is the first time you've let another woman ride shotgun. The man never expected this would be what bothered me. Everyone in our circle knows how exceptional Shen Zhijing is. Countless women adored him, yet he remained virtuous. Though tempted by many, he stayed untouched. Shen Zhijing smiled faintly, tousling my hair. Never thought I'd see you jealous. He leaned in to kiss me, his nose brushing against my cheek. She's just my subordinate, nothing more. There will never be anything between us. Shen Zhijing cradled my face, gazing into my eyes. He vowed to me in a solemn voice, for a woman's intuition is never wrong, even though I'd only met Bai Luo once. My gut tells me this girl definitely has ulterior motives toward Shen Jijing. I thought the initial power play would be enough, yet to my surprise, the auction necklace meant for me ended up around that girl's neck the very next day. Xiao He, Shen Jijing's chief assistant, sent me a photo along with a WeChat Moments screenshot. In the photo, the crescent diamond necklace draped around Bai Luo's fair neck accentuated her delicate charm. The girl's eyes were swollen, yet a faint smile lingered at the corners of her lips. She must have cried her heart out after returning home last night. Someone's gift had brought her solace. This screenshot shows Bai Luo's social media post. The CEO says, "Girls must stay strong even when wronged. Wiping my tears, yes sir, my dear CEO." A few cute fist-pumping emojis, and a picture of a necklace placed inside a box. My blood ran cold at that moment, though hard to say aloud, I must confess. She provoked me to the brink of losing composure. It's an awful feeling, like finding a bloodstain on your favorite white handkerchief. This sensation feels strangely fascinating to me. I even had the urge to floor a yellow Ferrari at 180 miles per hour and slap that woman across the face. Consequences be damned, but looking at my own hands, I realized how pathetic it was to even acknowledge that cheap gold digger. I gave Wen at Hermes a call. Wen's voice brimmed with barely contained excitement. She made me a promise over the phone. "Rest assured, Mrs. Shen, even if I have to empty out all of Shanghai today, I'll get your order fully assembled and delivered without fail." That very day, before office hours ended, every executive assistant and administrative staff member at Shen Corporation headquarters, 46 women in total except Bai Luo, received lavish gifts from the CEO's wife. Hermes necklaces worth 120,000 yuan each. The unit price may not match that $2 million auction necklace, but with more participants, it balances out fairly. Xiao He handles things diplomatically. Everyone must post on Moments with the caption, "The CEO's wife says every girl deserves better," clenches fist asterisk yes. My CEO wife, the gift recipient, was naturally delighted to play along, serving as both assistant and executive office manager. They practically run the company's gossip mill. Who wouldn't beam with joy and eagerly post about it when receiving a gift from the CEO's wife? Some savvy colleagues even added a caption, "The CEO's wife sure knows how to make an impression." While executive assistants may not wield much influence within the company, their gossip network spans every department with terrifying efficiency. Within half an hour, the entire company knew the CEO's wife had gifted everyone Hermes necklaces. As for the reason, gossip circles have been buzzing about it for ages. Bai Luo turned deathly pale as if deeply humiliated. With red-rimmed eyes, she fled to the restroom to remove her diamond necklace. Two colleagues who came in to touch up their makeup gave her ambiguous snickers, mortified. Bai Luo hung her head and hurried out of the restroom, the mocking laughter growing increasingly brazen behind her. Her cheeks burned as she placed the necklace back in its box, returning it untouched to Shen Jijing. 5. Shen Jijing had just wrapped up a video call with his business partner. He saw the clearly tear-stained girl clutching the jewelry box, staring forlornly at her own feet. "What's wrong?" Shen Jijing asked with confusion. Tears welled up in Bai Luo's eyes before she could speak. She choked back a sob, pitifully pleading, "Mr. Shen, please take this necklace back. I don't dare accept it." A flicker of displeasure crossed Shen Jijing's stern face. His gut told him something was amiss, yet he didn't press for answers. He simply kept his gaze fixed on the person before him. Bai Luo bit her lip, hesitated, then finally recounted everything that had transpired in the office that day. "Mr. Shen, I'm so sorry for always causing you trouble. I just posted it on social media to motivate myself. I don't know how Madam found out." Bai Luo sobbed quietly. "I never expected Madam would get this angry." The woman looked as pitiful as a little white rabbit. "Mr. Shen, I'd like to apologize to your wife in person and explain everything clearly." Shen Jijing never had the habit of checking social media feeds. His life was completely consumed by work. As the CEO, he knew all too well about the toxic rumor mill within the company, his usually stern expression turning even frostier. "I understand," the man said in a low voice. 6. That evening, Shen Jijing took Bai Luo home. The girl stood timidly behind the man. "I'll have Luo come over to explain things face to face." Shen Jijing sighed. "Xia Qing, Luo is just my secretary. I casually gave her a gift as an apology for yesterday's incident, that's all there was to it. I stirred the silver spoon and finished the bird's nest soup Auntie had prepared. Sis, I'm sorry. Luo bowed to me with genuine sincerity, trembling with fear, delicate and fragile. This is the first time I've received such an expensive gift. I got carried away in the moment. If I've done anything to upset you, please tell me and I'll correct it immediately. I arched an eyebrow. Luo, is it? The girl stole a glance at Shen Zhijing, as if drawing courage from the man. Then nodded slowly, watching that woman charge at me like a newborn calf unafraid of tigers, insisting on picking a fight. I couldn't help but find it laughable. I'm neither your teacher nor your boss. I've no time to teach you manners, but as Shen Zhijing's wife, let me make this clear. Anyone who dares flirt with my husband won't get a second chance. The girl probably never met someone as blunt as me. Her face grew increasingly flustered, leaving only pitiful fragility. Xia Qing. Luo came to apologize to you. Shen Zhijing knows my temperament and methods. Even if he disapproves of what I did today, he understands how I feel. That's why he didn't confront me. He just let Luo come make amends. He's already made concessions, hoping I'd let go of the misunderstanding. We're all reasonable people here. A single glance speaks volumes between us. Got it. I've decided to give Shen Zhijing another chance. After all, he didn't actually cheat. But there won't be a next time, no matter who it is. 7. There's no need for you to resort to such tactics against a girl. Shen Zhijing brought up the topic before bedtime. You should have told me first. I sat at the dressing table styling my hair, staring at the handsome man in the mirror. You knew how much I loved that necklace, yet you gave it to another woman. Wasn't I right to be angry? I can't imagine if someone so perfect were tainted. Could I still adore him as unconditionally as before? Shen Zhijing walked unhurriedly to the bar and poured himself a glass of ice water. She cried all night because of your misunderstanding. This morning, seeing how swollen her eyes were, I casually gave her the necklace as an apology, not a single flaw. I studied him coldly for a long moment. 2 million is pocket change for us, perfectly reasonable to casually gift it away. It all comes down to whether they're worth it. His fingertips drummed against the marble countertop. He was waiting for me to gather my thoughts. This was our first romantic conflict involving a third party. Our upbringing and principles left us both wearied by such matters. We both value keeping up appearances. Shen Zhijing, I love you. Shen Zhijing's fingers paused mid-motion. He probably never expected me to say this so abruptly. Shen Zhijing, I love your untainted purity. That's what sets you apart from everyone else. You never let women get close before because you're emotionally fastidious. You wanted a pure marriage. I wasn't like that originally, but your values changed me. Now we share the same life goals. May your marriage never come to a crossroads. Shen Zhijing sighed helplessly. I don't. 8. Shen Zhijing was a man of remarkable clarity. Knowing how I feel, he wouldn't give Luo any false hope. Without the CEO's patronage, Luo had to start from the most basic tasks as an intern. She used to have opportunities for rotations at the headquarters. Now he doesn't even schedule her for shifts. I never signaled anyone to ostracize her. Since Shen Zhijing knows his boundaries, I trust him completely. But these things don't require my explicit instructions. There's no shortage of people who curry favor with the powerful and bully the weak. Within half a month, the new secretary couldn't handle the drastic job transition and emotional toll, visibly losing weight. The turning point came after a crucial executive meeting. That day, Luo was left alone to clean up the small conference room. The girl in her office dress knelt on the floor, painstakingly scraping gum off the carpet with a razor blade. Shen Zhijing unexpectedly doubled back and witnessed the scene. Startled by the presence behind her, the girl scrambled to her feet in flustered embarrassment. Shen Zhijing's gaze was deep and chilling. That silent stare stripped Luo of all dignity. Mr. Shen. Tears streamed uncontrollably down the girl's face. This was no act, no pretense. Shen Zhijing had always been her unattainable son, a love she could never reach. When pushed to the margins, she'd nearly resigned herself to fate, to be seen by a man in this wretched state. Luo nearly shoved Shen Zhijing aside in her rush to flee. Just half a month apart, and that once vivacious girl had become this fragile. This was the first time Shen Zhijing had ever lost his temper. He stormed into the house and smashed the water glass I handed him onto the floor, water droplets scattered everywhere. Why won't you just leave her alone? Xia Qing, I've respected and loved you, enduring your constant humiliation and abuse toward her. What kind of sick satisfaction do you get from bullying the weak? I remembered, during Shen Zhijing's study abroad, his younger sister in middle school committed suicide by jumping off a building due to school bullying. It became an unhealed scar in his heart, fueling his utter loathing for such acts. Xia Qing, if I ever see you hurting others like this again, I won't stand by and watch. I stared blankly at the man having an emotional breakdown before me. For the first time since our marriage, Shen Zhijing lost his composure and yelled at me over another woman, over something I never did. This feeling was unbearable, like shattering glass, like spilt water that cannot be retrieved. 9. Shen Zhijing promoted by Luoluo to be his personal assistant. Simultaneously, he swiftly dismissed Xiao He, the chief assistant who had worked alongside him for 7 years. You need to be clear about who you're really working for. Xiao He can be quite stubborn in certain ways. I'm working for you, Mr. Shen. There are certain matters I'll discuss privately with Madam. Just some personal matters. The man threw the shift schedule in front of Xiao He. Oh, so self-righteous, are we? Did your professional ethics ever make you bully others with your authority? Xiao He fell silent, realizing her harassment of Bai Luoluo had been exposed, her face betraying unease. Shen Zhijing saw through it instantly, with no tolerance for others, incapable of distinguishing right from wrong, mixing personal grudges with professional conduct. How dare you claim fitness for the executive assistant role? Xiao He trudged out of the office in defeat. The assistants outside wore sorrowful expressions. Sister He, are you really leaving? Before the teardrops could roll down, Xiao He quickly wiped them away. Yes, I'm off. See you around. Sisters. 10. Shen Zhijing and I are in an unprecedented Cold War. He's staying at a hotel. Bai Luoluo came to pick up his change of clothes. Shen Zhijing knows how to twist the knife when he wants to make someone miserable. He outdoes even my worst. The live-in housekeeper had already received the call. She packed his daily necessities neatly. Bai Luoluo, probably frightened by my temper, took the suitcase the housekeeper prepared and obediently hailed a taxi to leave. Before leaving, she said cautiously, Madam, Mr. Shen asked me to connect with you. Feel free to reach out if you need anything. After Xiao He left, Bai Luoluo took over her duties. There's nothing to discuss. Tell him to get lost and stay lost. Bai Luoluo couldn't understand why I still had the nerve to act tough. Especially now that Shen Zhijing was living in a hotel, her eyes held confusion, but even more so, a secret delight. The housekeeper shook her head, offering well-meaning advice. Madam, why don't you swallow your pride and apologize to the master? You two never even argued before. How did things suddenly come to this? The housekeeper had served the Shen family for over a decade. Time spent together does breed affection. He's waiting for me to apologize, isn't he? Ridiculous. Why should I apologize? 11. Shen Zhijing never came back again. Bai Luoluo's social media feed was constantly updating, mostly documenting outings with Shen Zhijing, a custom Chanel evening gown, an invitation to a private equity gala, the million-spark spectacle at the Summit Forum, night breeze and city lights at Burj Al Arab, group photo with Verdant Peak Capital's CEO, among other highlights. Everyone marveled at how meeting the right person unlocks so many life firsts. Her posts routinely rack up over 100 likes. Some commenters even suggested she start a vlog to showcase the daily life of high society. Several mutual friends sent me screenshots of her social media posts with question marks attached. Now you can basically track CEO Shen's whereabouts just by checking his secretary's social media. We're all smart people here. A word to the wise is sufficient. I was usually the one accompanying Shen Zhijing to events. If I happened to be unavailable or unwilling to go, his assistants would take turns filling in. Now he's seeing someone new. I wasn't in the mood to respond to my friend's well-meaning reminder, just sent a simple thanks sticker in reply. At that time, I was privately consulting Xia family accounting for asset division. This is an enormous and intricate undertaking. The two conglomerates hold cross-shareholdings through marital alliance. There's also the family fund I manage, with countless investments spanning real estate, precious metals, stocks, shipping vessels, and more. Some overseas properties I can barely recall until I see the deed addresses and photos. Sorting through these things is quite time-consuming. 12. That day, I received a call from Shen Zijing returning from his business trip. Mom wants us to come home for dinner. We carried on as if nothing had happened. Business as usual. The driver picked up Shen Zijing at the airport, then he came to get me, and we headed to the GU residence together. Shen Zijing and Bai Luoluo sat together in the back seat, leaving only the passenger seat for me. Bai Luoluo's smug delight was written all over her face. I laughed bitterly at my own predicament. This time, I didn't assert my position and quietly took the passenger seat. Shen Zijing's expression turned icy, radiating an intimidating aura. Sis-in-law, we just got back from Manhattan today. The old madam mentioned wanting to see President Shen, so I picked up some gifts and thought we'd pay her a visit. Bai Luoluo remains as chatty as ever, yet her demeanor has grown more composed and mature. She must have gained considerable experience working alongside Shen Zijing these days. I stayed silent, resting with my eyes closed. Luoluo was left feeling awkward by her own doing. Shen Zijing pressed his thin lips together, remaining silent throughout the journey. 13. Mrs. Shen looked surprised when she spotted Luoluo. The girl greeted them with practiced ease and introduced herself. She seems quite skilled at winning people over. In no time, she had Mrs. Shen laughing heartily. At the dinner table, Bai Luoluo shared some amusing work anecdotes about Shen Zijing with Mrs. Shen. Mrs. Shen nodded with a pleased smile. Then they inquired about Shen Zijing's living situation. She effortlessly picked up the conversation thread. An awkward tension settled over the dinner table. A faint dimpled smile still played at Bai Luoluo's lips. Realizing you've put your foot in your mouth amid the sudden chill isn't complete stupidity. Daily life matters are what I should address. Mrs. Shen was no fool. Shen Zijing remained silent. I dabbed my lips gracefully. Mom, I'm pregnant. Oh really? Ching ching. This was absolutely wonderful news, Mrs. Shen's eyes lit up. When did this happen? The man who'd been stone-faced and silent since I got in the car now wore a rare flicker of emotion. I arched an eyebrow with wicked amusement. Just got the results yesterday. The doctor said it's already been 3 weeks. Mrs. Shen was overjoyed and rushed to call her husband. Kept nagging about taking me to the hospital again tomorrow. Bai Luoluo looked startled. Her almond-shaped eyes wide with childlike innocence. Sis-in-law, are you sure you've got the dates right? General Manager Shen and I have been on a business trip abroad these past 2 months. Mrs. Shen froze in shock at these words. Absolutely correct. We specifically consulted Professor Fang, the renowned OB/GYN specialist. It's indeed only 3 weeks. I deliberately emphasized 3 weeks. Shen Zijing knew perfectly well he hadn't been home during that period. This child isn't his. The warmth vanished instantly from the man's face. Xia Qing. Shen Zijing radiated a brewing storm of emotions, barely restrained, as if waiting for my explanation. My smile grew more triumphant. Congratulate me. Shen Zijing, I'm going to be a mother. Don't joke about things like this. He spoke in an icy tone. I placed the pregnancy test report I'd prepared long ago on the table. Pity, this isn't a joke. While you were off honeymooning with your lover, I got lonely and reconnected with some old flames myself. Now I've no idea who the father is. If you don't mind, I could let the child call you Dad, but he'll take my surname. With every word I spoke, the man's expression grew colder. Enough. When I uttered that final sentence, Shen Zijing finally reached his breaking point. I turned a blind eye to the man's fury. Shen Zijing, how does it feel to be cheated on? 14. Shen Zijing never saw it coming. I'd openly have an affair. Then righteously announce to the world that I'm carrying another man's child. I never cheated on you. His hands clenched tightly, veins bulging beneath the skin. This news clearly hit him hard. We were just working together. Nothing crossed the line. I've never cheated. I pat my own belly. I don't want to hear his belated explanations. Your secretary keeps flaunting her work interactions with you on social media every day. Shen Zijing, are you really that oblivious? Even our mutual friends noticed something off and warned me about it. Do you still think this isn't crossing the line? If you can take her stargazing, I can discuss poetry and philosophy with other men. Shen Zijing was uncharacteristically furious, yet I remained indifferent, feeling only a tinge of regret. What a pity, Shen Zijing. I didn't have time to bring a man back to Shen Garden with me, but compared to your provocation today, I'm still slightly outmatched. Shun Zhijing couldn't accept it. He believed his relationship with Bai Luoluo was completely above board. Between them, there was barely any communication beyond work matters. He just wanted to use Bai Luoluo as an example to warn those around him. He couldn't understand why things had come to this between us. Before this, he had always believed our marriage was rock solid and blissful. Sis, there's absolutely nothing between Mr. Shun and me. Facing Mrs. Shun, Bai Luoluo was desperate to clear her name. Mrs. Shun and I have spoken a few times on work matters. I'm just using this opportunity to pay a courtesy visit for professional reasons. This is strictly business for me. You've never worked in corporate, so perhaps you don't understand. As the CEO's chief secretary, I'm expected to be meticulous in everything, but I swear there's absolutely nothing improper between Mr. Shun and me. Bai Luoluo sat beside Shun Zhijing, back straight and chin lifted. Oh really? Then why were you sitting next to Shun Zhijing during the ride while making the CEO's wife take the passenger seat? Did your famous meticulousness suddenly go to the dogs? I tore through her lies without mercy. The woman fell silent, at a loss for words. I didn't let Shun Zhijing off the hook either. Shun Zhijing, is this the chief assistant you personally trained for 2 months? Xiao He is also a woman, also your secretary. She's been with you since graduation. Has she ever sat by your side? She's even more meticulous than Bai Luoluo. When have I ever targeted her? Shun Zhijing's breathing grew ragged, the corners of his eyes flushing crimson. Let's get divorced. Shun Zhijing, 15. The man pulled me homeward. Bai Luoluo was left behind at the Shun family estate. It was his first time returning home since the Cold War. I'd already taken care of most things at home, even the live-in housekeepers had been dismissed by me. Shun Zhijing froze in his tracks, stunned. The home we'd shared for 3 years now felt utterly foreign. The realization finally hit him. My divorce had been premeditated. Eyes red with disbelief, Shun Zhijing crushed me against his chest in a desperate embrace. Xia Qing, I never cheated on you. His voice, heavy with despair, lingered in my ears. Get rid of the baby, and we can start over. As if hearing some absurd joke, I shot back with biting sarcasm. That's my child. How could you consider an abortion? My calm demeanor seemed to pierce Shun Zhijing's heart. I've done nothing wrong, and you know it. I broke free from the man's grasp. Yes, I know you're still clean, but what's the point? You had Bai Luoluo come to our home to pick up your suitcase, knowing full well it would upset me. You take her to every event, knowing people would talk behind my back. You knew everything, yet you still chose to do it. You tolerated her provocations, humiliated me, and forced me to beg for reconciliation. You despise me for bullying the weak. But Shun Zhijing, did you ever see how that so-called victim kept deliberately crossing my boundaries, tears streaming down my face? I recalled everything that had happened, unable to believe my marriage could be so fragile. You know she's into you, right? I warned you about this long ago, Shun Zhijing. Willful ignorance is far more dangerous than simple foolishness. Shun Zhijing trembled uncontrollably, barely able to stand, his voice reduced to a whisper. I'm sorry, Xia Qing. She always reminds me of Zhitian. I'm afraid you'll become one of those monsters too. Shun Zhitian also had those sweet dimples. I just couldn't bear to see her cry. I never had any feelings for her. Watching his remorse left me completely unmoved. Maybe he's innocent. But I won't foolishly expose my vulnerabilities to anyone who might hurt me. 16. Shun Zhijing refused the divorce. He hired a new elite male executive assistant. He even got completely wasted in the wine cellar. I struggled like hell to get him onto the couch. He's a good drunk, quiet and compliant. Just as I was about to leave, the man with reddened eyes pulled me into his embrace, pleading desperately, Qing Qing, let's not get divorced. Okay, if you want this child, then have him. As for Bai Luoluo, major corporations have established policies. They don't terminate employees without cause when no mistakes have been made, merely the CEO's deliberate distancing, undoubtedly sending a clear signal to the outside. The CEO's former personal assistant, it seemed to happen overnight. From the lucky girl everyone envied, to becoming the target of everyone's whispered ridicule. When Bai Luoluo came to me, her youthful radiance was gone. No amount of makeup could conceal her haggard appearance. I saw you at the company on my first day. The opening remark caught me off guard. I served you tea that day. standing by your side waiting for further instructions while you discussed wedding gift ideas with Director Shen, never once glancing my way. The girl wore a mocking smile. Someone like Mr. Shen, I'd never have met him in my lifetime if not for work, and you, just born lucky to marry him. That night at the auction, I told Mr. Shen it's downright rude for the boss to drive while employees sit in the back, said I'd switch seats when you showed up. Mr. Shen neither agreed nor disagreed. The girl seemed to relive that day's triumphant moment. I signaled the waiter to order her a coffee and dessert as well. My habitual arrogance stung the girl's eyes red, fueling the hatred burning in her gaze. What gives a spoiled rich kid like you the right to look down on me? Bai Luoluo glared at me with contempt. You're utterly unworthy of Chairman Shen's affection. Oh, did you get what you wanted then? I watched with quiet amusement as the person before me fell into disarray. That childish face was desperately trying to maintain composure. Isn't it because I'm a threat to you? Then why couldn't you take it anymore and filed for divorce? I stirred my coffee slowly. Because I had an affair and got pregnant with someone else's child. You knew about this. Didn't you? Bai Luoluo was left speechless by my words. The girl was on the verge of losing control multiple times. What exactly are you so smug about? A bitter, jobless old hag who cheated and got knocked up with some bastard child. Do you really think CEO Shen would still want you? Slap. I slapped the woman across the face without hesitation. First of all, no matter how old I am, I'm still 2 years younger than your precious Mr. Shen. Second, who the hell do you think you are to call my child a bastard? Finally, I've been wanting to slap you for ages. You idiot. 17, when I was 4 months pregnant, the Shen family knew there was no room for negotiation left. Under pressure from the Shen family, Shen Zhijing agreed to an amicable divorce with me. The shareholding between both families is extensive. The strategic partnership initially agreed upon brought mutual benefits, so the elders saw no need for changes. The prenuptial asset division was crystal clear. Both parties had no objections. I managed our joint finances meticulously after marriage. Shen Zhijing signed the document calmly. Like a fallen crane from divine grace, he'd broken his own wings, the gruesome bloodstains marring feathers once pure white. We had an amicable divorce. We bid each other farewell. 18. The child took my surname, Xia, at birth. People assumed it was a premature birth, but the genes were truly exceptional. Mom kept pressing me about who the father was. I didn't tell her. That one-night stand story was just a lie I made up. But they don't need to know the truth. Since it's a boy, my parents stopped pushing me to go on blind dates. They planned to make the most of their youth, raise the child as an heir. As the brat grew up, he started looking more and more like his old man, free from marital constraints. I've been living my best life these past few years. Dated a few handsome young men too. Xiao He occasionally chats with me. I picked up some gossip from her. Bai Luoluo couldn't last half a year before quitting on her own, but everyone in this circle is well informed. No major corporation would dare to hire him. Shen Zhijing has grown increasingly aloof these past 2 years, wholly focused on managing his business. We came together through an arranged marriage, but then his father summoned me back to the homeland to serve in his stead. I could see right through the old folks' little scheme, but I just found it amusing and couldn't be bothered to call them out. After the meeting, Shen Zhijing would always pull me into his car, claiming it was on his way to pay New Year's respects to my parents. Little Xia was absolutely smitten with Shen Zhijing. Someone had secretly taught him that this was his father. The little boy would wiggle his bottom and call Shen Zhijing daddy, begging for hugs whenever he saw him. Shen Zhijing doted on him and never refused. Now that the child's features were becoming more distinct, how could he not understand? I'll be staying in the country throughout the Lunar New Year to reunite with family. Shen Zhijing cleared his schedule to keep me company. He wanted to ask if we should remarry. I refused. When it comes to marriage, better none than the wrong one, otherwise you'll only have yourself to blame. Little Xia, however, visibly brightens up whenever he sees Shen Zhijing. He insists on sitting between me and Shen Zhijing, gleefully alternating between calling us mom and dad. I gave him a light tap on the back of his head to stop the nonsense. Shen Zhijing stood there with red-rimmed eyes, utterly at a loss. He had 1,000 apologies burning in his throat for me, but I no longer needed them.